Okay, today we're going to look at some different ways to beat Maria, the chess bot. Um, and we know this is one of the more frustrating bots to face because she's very aggressive and sometimes it can seem like you're not going to get past her. So we're going to look at her weaknesses and a couple of different ways which you can attack her. Now, of course, it's really nice that all these bots on chess.com have these personalities and these cute backstories and so forth. It makes them interesting. But of course, what they really are is each one is a different technique or a different style of play. But it makes it a lot more exciting to call it the bot Nelson rather than the Wayward Queen. Or something like that. And so realize that every one of these is trying to help you work on a different style of play. Now, Maria, of course, is the hyper-aggressive chess bot who's looking for a quick kill. She's looking for an assassination on the king within a couple of moves. And so that's the style of play that she comes at, and it's very difficult to deal with. But actually, losing a lot of games to Maria one after another, it's actually good training, and if you stick with it, after a while you'll be able to beat her easily, and that's good preparation. But anyway, let's look at what is this bot actually. I mean, she's not really a young lady from Mexico. She's a program designed to do a few things. So Maria the bot is, first of all, hyper aggressive. Okay, the defense is not in her vocabulary at all. And so this is what she's training you, is how to deal with someone who comes at you absolutely mad from the get-go. Okay, as we said, she's looking for a quick kill, and this is what her strategy is all about. She's going to try and go directly for the king, hit him while he's still on the back rank, and it's like an assassination or a coup. And she's going to do this by lining up a direct attack on the king with usually two pieces, maybe more. Typically, it's going to be the queen. So she's going to use a queen to come right at your king, probably take out the pawn that is in front of the king, and then back that up with another piece so the king cannot defend himself. And we'll look at some of the different ways that she's going to try and do this. Obviously, the way to beat her is to have your defense set so that she cannot do this, and therefore because she's going completely on the offense, she leaves herself weak. And that's what we're going to look at, a couple of different ways in which to approach that. Now, of course, she's going to have weaknesses, and the weaknesses is like a boxer who comes at you flailing like mad. She's leaving herself open for a few things. First of all, Maria really doesn't care about points. It's very typical that you will go up 2 or 3 points right at the beginning. Particularly, she doesn't care about pawns. It's very easy to get a pawn advantage on her early in the game because she is looking to knock you out. So she's not really worried about what the balance is. So what that means is if you can get past the initial stage where she can't get a quick kill, and then start exchanging pieces, that means you're going to go into the end game with an advantage. And she's pretty much going to be weak when she goes in there. And so this is one of the ways to beat her, is just to get a slight advantage on pawns or get up by one piece by a knight or a bishop, and then start exchanging, and you're going to go into an end game with an advantage. And so many of the games that I've beaten Maria in, it's been by having an extra pawn because she is weak once she gets to that point. Along with that, though, she's going to ignore development, meaning she's coming right out to attack, so she's not developing her pieces. She will very frequently leave the rook trapped in a corner with nowhere to go. This is the bot Nelson does the same thing if you've played him. And so this is one way to get her as well. And this is what we're going to try and do in this game right here. Another thing about her, if you're playing a longer term game, is that she will let pawns go almost to the end, almost to the point of promotion without doing anything about them. So it's very easy to get a pawn to the 6th or 7th rank and she'll do nothing about them. Of course, a pawn that gets to the 7th rank is, I mean, it's as powerful as a rook is, because the thing is, on the verge of being promoted. And so this is another way to go after her. We're not going to look at it in this game unless we have to. And the last point is, if you do get into an end game with her, you're generally going to be in good shape. Even if you go in even, she will often blunder in the end game, and I think it is because she's a 1200 bot. They didn't want to make her that strong, so by making her hyper aggressive in the opening stages, I think they compensated by making her weak in the lesser stages. And so, I mean, she will, if you get to the end game, you have a good chance of beating her. So we're going to look at the first game here, and in this case, we're going to try and beat Maria at her own game, and that is to go after her and try and pin her king and put her on the defensive. Okay, so we will see how that goes in just a minute. Okay, here we are getting ready to play Maria. I'm going to start. I am white. So we're going to start with a Hungarian opening here, and she's going to respond pretty straightforward on that. This is a good opening against Maria because this is a good one to nail some pawns in the beginning, which is what we're going to try and do. So the whole purpose of the Hungarian opening is to get this bishop right there. Now, obviously, I cannot go for the pawn because she's bringing out her queen immediately. So what we want to do is threaten that queen and use that against her. Now, the knight cannot get there directly as of yet. So I'm going to bring this pawn out here to block so that she doesn't bring hers any farther forward. Okay, good. So she's moved the queen over, and you can see what she wants to do is come straight down and take out this pawn on f2 and put an immediate threat on my king. So I'm going to start to deploy my knight, and now I am threatening to take that pawn, and also by doing that I would be attacking the queen as well and forcing her to move. So we'll see how she reacts to this. Okay, so we can see Maria has brought her knight out in response. So you can see she's not trying to protect that pawn, and she's not worrying about the queen right now. Again, she's being aggressive. She's looking at getting her pieces down to attack my king. So this is going to enable me to go in and take the pawn and then put a threat on her queen. Okay, I've done that. I've got the pawn. Now let's see how she reacts to this. Ooh, okay. So quite obviously, Maria is looking to trade queens. That's a pretty obvious invitation there. And we can see she says this makes her attacking chances even better. Okay, that's good because Maria relies a lot on the queen for her attacks. Trading queens is actually a good thing for us. So if you get the chance to do that against her, you definitely want to take that opportunity. So we're going to trade queens. Okay, and she comes back and takes with the knight here. Now, you notice we're in very similar positions, except I've got that bishop fianchetto there. But you can see she's already vulnerable. Actually, both of us are vulnerable for the infamous fried liver attack, and that's right here. If I were to move my knight up to this position, the queen is no longer there to defend against it, and if I place it right there, it's going to be forking both the king and the rook. I mean, this is, of course, one of the oldest tricks in the book and one of the first ones you learn. Most people don't fall for it, but Maria is one of the bots that will, because again, she's very aggressive and she's not thinking about defense. She very commonly leave her rook all bottled up there. Nelson is another one who will fall from this from time to time. Now the problem is I'm also in the same position as well, so she could do the same to me. So the trick is I've got to get myself out of it without her noticing and doing the same thing. So I'm going to take the most obvious move to get out of this fork, and that is I'm going to move my king here, move it over 1. Okay, now that means that if she were to attempt to fork with the knight, I can now take her out. So she has just lost the chance to do the fried liver on me. Now we got to hope that she doesn't look at what I did, realize she's in the exact same position, and do the same thing. If she were defensively minded, she would certainly notice that. But this is, again, the weakness of Maria, is she's so hyper attack oriented, she may not notice that. And in fact, okay, so she responds by moving that pawn, which is you know, not really responding at all to what the attack is. So obviously she doesn't see where she's vulnerable. So I am going to be able to move in here with the fried liver, and now I am checking the king. This rook over here is dead no matter what she does. Okay, and once we get up by a rook, I mean, the game is basically ours to lose. We just have to make sure not to make any mistakes. We can keep exchanging, and that is a significant enough advantage. And this is kind of the way you want to go at Maria. She will leave those rooks in a vulnerable position. You take out one, and now you've basically got an advantage on her. So we'll see how she responds. Okay, and so even this is a dumb move, moving this pawn that she's doing, because now I have a chance not only of, I got the rook, but now I have a chance to get that knight out of there safely, and so not even lose a piece in the process. So she's making it easy to get him out. Okay, so she sees that the bishop was in danger there, so she gets the bishop out. Okay, so now we're just going to see how this plays out. So now we're going to take the game to her. We are going to go after her king because we've got the advantage in pieces. And also you can see this side of the board is completely wide open now. So she's on the defensive. So now exchanging pieces is a good thing for me. I want to get rid of the knight and the bishop that she's got developed. The rest of her pieces are trapped up on the right hand side of the board, so that she can't really get them into play. Okay, so I want to get rid of these two. So let's start to make a challenge. Let's see. Easiest thing probably for me to bring out my knight, and that will put it in a direct challenge to her knight. So let's do that. Okay, let's see if she takes it. Yeah, because her knight was sitting out in the open. So okay, there's an exchange. Now she's moving the king to go after my knight, but it's kind of too late to do that. What I'm going to do is get him out of the way, check her. She's moving deeper into the corner now, which is bad because all I've got to do is pull up this pawn, and now we've got an attack on this diagonal. This bishop, my white squared bishop, was always on an open diagonal from the beginning. I'm going to bring this bishop out, so now we've got both diagonals going to the corner, so she can't go after that knight. And now it's just simply a question of bringing the rooks into it. She's trapped. Her pieces are not developed. They're trapped in a corner. So it's just a question of how I bring the rooks into it. So I can't castle because I've already moved my king. Going to move him up there. Okay, so she's making a token check, which really does nothing. Get him out of the way. Okay, now she's trying to get the pieces out. It's a little too late. Okay, we're going to bring this rook up, and he can go right to the 8th rank and put a check on her. Now she's going to be able to block it with her bishop. That's why she moved the bishop back. But it's really not going to be able to do anything at this point. So let's get the rook on up there and put another check on her. She still can't go after my knight because I've got these two bishops taking those two diagonals. Okay, we knew that was going to happen. She brings the bishop out to block, and now it's simply a question of getting the bishop out of there. The easiest way for me to do that would be with the knight, but let me think. I want to get this other rook. Oh, okay, she's going to bring her knight down there. Now she's obviously looking to knock off that this bishop right here, which we can live without it, but let's get it out of the way. Okay, I should bring forward another piece. Okay, so we get this rook into the game here. I mean, at this point, the game is done. It's just a question of how to finish her off. Okay, I got to get out of my own way here. I'm going to move the bishop over there. And now we can put it here. Now we can start to move the knight in order to get her bishop out of the way, which is the last thing. Okay, she's gonna make a. She's moving her knight. That's not really significant. I'm gonna bring him down here. So, okay, no problem. Okay, we're gonna take that knight, that bishop out. Like I say, when it gets to the end game, Maria will start just sacrificing things. I mean, she's just doing some sort of suicidal stuff at this point. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's get rid of this bishop right there. Okay, it's gonna. Doesn't matter at this point. We're going to take out her bishop. She'll take out mine. No problem, because at this point, we get our knight out of the way. Okay. I mean, this endgame is taking longer than it should have, but at this point, I'm not really worrying about it. We're going to check her here. The diagonal is still gone. She can't go to the white square. She has to go to the corner, which is bad for her. Okay, we're going to... Alright, so she's got one space where she is safe. We're going to use the knight to take... Okay, she's moving down there. Okay, great. Well, let's see. Quickest way to get rid of her is to come over here, and it's a checkmate. Okay, so that is the end of the game, and if we look at the analysis, I mean, I think it will show that she lost pretty early on. Let's look at the analysis. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I mean, it's showing that white was in the lead from the beginning. And interestingly, okay, it's cut off on the screen here. I'm sorry you can't see it, but Maria's accuracy is 26%, which is pretty low. So even though she seems like she's really dangerous, she plays wild and she's not careful. And you can see she made just some really basic mistakes and lost the game early on. So this is where her hyper aggressiveness works against her. Now, of course, it's not always going to be that easy. This case, we won. Really, the key was trading the queens. Once she lost her queen, her direct attack on the king was sort of lost, and I mean, we were able to trap her where her pieces were not developed. So in the next option, we're going to look at a different way to attack her, assuming we don't get to trade her queen, and we have to play a longer game with her. So that will be our next game against Maria, and we'll show you how that one goes. Okay, hope to see you then. Thank you.